Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Analyst Inside Cricket. This is a double preview edition because it's all happening in the cricket world. We've got the County Championship starting on Thursday and the IPL starting on Friday. And we're delighted to say, alongside me, Simon Hughes and Simon Mann, we've also got the new captain of Durham, Scott Bothwick, back from the Oval, back to his home territory. He's on the programme today with us. Scott, actually, you're in Trent Bridge at the moment, getting ready for your first match of the season against Nottinghamshire. And just before we get into the detail, I guess I've got my shorts on because it's reasonably warm in the south, and I'm sure Simon has. But you, I guess, have been practicing with all sorts of coverings and clothing on because it's probably been minus up north, has it?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, we had a net at the Riverside yesterday, and it was the coldest I've ever been on a cricket field. We had lumps of snowballs coming down in the afternoon. Luckily for me, I got my net done in the morning, but some of the guys in the afternoon who were in the nets got the full snowballs on the afternoon. Yeah, not exactly cricket weather.
It's not much weather for leg spin anyway, that's for sure.
No, exactly.
No,
exactly,
goodness. Simon, I hope you've got your shorts on.
I have, because the central heating's up high. As you know, in my house, my wife always has the central heating up high, but it's perishing cold. It's so perverse, isn't it? A week ago, it was about 24 degrees in London. Of course, the cricket season's starting, and it's snowing outside. I actually saw that clip of Durham practicing on social media. It looked horrendous, Scott, with the sort of snow coming down. Yet on you go, your players were still practicing.
Yeah, honestly, that was amazing. I can't believe the guys actually just got on with it. I think as us Northerners, I think we've got a little bit used to it. And with me having 4 years down south, I think I've become a little bit of a southern softie. So I think I felt it cold a bit more than some of the guys.
Well, listen, we'll preview the county championship in a minute. But just to say a couple of things. Firstly, in the second half of this show, as I said, we're previewing the IPL, which is obviously starting on Friday, and we have as our guest Manoj Badali, the owner of the Rajasthan Royals, which is the sort of most English-centric of the IPL teams. So that's coming up in the second half of this show. And also just a reminder that in tomorrow's virtual cricket club, Thursday night is our regular night. We have David Gower as our guest to answer your questions if you want to join our club and also win some memorabilia. The club is worldsbestcricketclub.com, very modestly named, and you can get to it by going to worldsbestcricketclub.com and signing up. We have David Gower this week. We have Jeffrey Boycott on the show next week. And after that, I'm hoping to get Bumble as well, David Lloyd. So some good guests coming up. But in the meantime, let's focus on today and tomorrow and the immediate future for county cricket. Simon, I interrupted you there. You had a question.
Well, no, I was just going to ask Scott how he felt it was going to go. And we've got a new structure to the championship this season. I mean, it's a little bit complicated. 3 groups of 6. Each team in a group plays each other twice. So you get 10 matches in the first round. And then basically, if you finish in the top 2 of your group, you go into another group, a Division 1, a new Division 1. The top 2 from each of the 3 groups, and then the 3s and 4s go into a second division, and then the 5s and 6s go into a Division 3, 8 points for a draw. Are you in favour of this new system, Scott? How do you see it?
Yeah, I quite like it, to be honest. And one of the reasons why I do like it is because we've actually got a big chunk of 4-day cricket. So I think we play 8 or 9 games in about 10, 11 weeks, and they're all start on a Thursday, finish on a Sunday. So as county cricket is, it's actually quite nice to get a bit of a routine and actually play it in blocks. Because as you know, county cricket's a bit scattered sometimes, and as us players, we get a bit lost in formats and stuff. But like I say, with this time, it's actually quite nice to get a bit of a routine. And I think as well with the division system in September, it actually gives guys something to play for. So obviously we want to be finishing in the top 2 of our division and to go on to be playing Division 1 cricket in September.
What if you don't finish in the top 2 though? Say you do finish 5th or 6th. What is the incentive if you're in that Division 3, or if you're in that middle group and you're in Division 2 in September?
I think it's just a case of when you do get into September, if we are in Division 2, is just to try and almost win that and try and finish as high as possible in that and see what happens with the format again the year after, because that might dictate which division we play in next season.
You must be all so desperate to get going, actually, because that last summer was so truncated and so sort of short-lived, and it sort of took a long time to get going, and then it's sort of over before you really got into it. So A, you must be really excited to get going, and I suppose B, for Durham, having had those relegation issues, which were not the players' fault, clearly, because it was all about the finances and being sunk into the second division and struggling to get out of it. This summer, all counties sort of starting from square one, from the same slate, if you like. It must be quite exciting, really.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, the season we didn't play a lot of cricket last season, and we've got some guys who haven't actually played a game for 18 months. And it's felt like it's been quite a long winter, because a lot of the guys, including myself, normally go overseas. Like I've spent the last 2 winters in Perth playing grade cricket over there. So to do that this winter, it actually feels like quite a long winter. And we feel like we've had a lot of nets, a lot of gym, doing the pre-season ugly side of things, which is also very important. But I think it gets to this time of the year where it gets to the end of March, early April, where it's actually quite an exciting time to be cricketers, and just desperate to get the season underway.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? Is you're going to get all geared up, and then it's going to sort of tip down with rain on Thursday morning and scupper everything. But I suppose it must be just wonderful to have the opportunity to play and not have that sort of relegation, struggling out of the second division and, being done with point deficits and stuff like that. You're all starting at the same spot. So actually anybody could win it, which is a nice opportunity, really.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I quite like the format. And like I say, we're desperate to be playing Division 1 cricket coming September. And that's our goal. We're in a tough group, but if we do want to be playing Division 1 cricket, these are the teams we need to be beating.
So you've got Essex, you've got Essex, Warwickshire, Derbyshire, Notts,
and Worcester.
Yeah.
So it's a tough group, but like I say, if we want to be playing Division 1, we want to be competing with the likes of those teams, and especially Essex, who have been worthy champions over the last couple of years.
What's the morale like in the club? I'm not thinking about what's happened in the past in terms of points deductions and penalties and that sort of thing. I'm thinking more in terms of COVID and people not playing and the difficulties that people have had over the winter, and not being able to go away, and also that feeling of county cricket feeling a bit under the pump financially. Are players worried about their futures?
I'm not really sure, but I think from a player's point of view over the winter, it has been quite challenging at times with the protocols. We've been training in small groups. We've probably only had one session where we've been all together. I know from January onwards, we're in sort of groups of 4s and 5s, which is quite challenging. Part of the game we play is we love being in the dressing room. We love spending time together. So that's been quite challenging. But what I would say is the attitude towards what the lads have been has been fantastic. We've just got our head down and cracked on, knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said before, it's this time of the year is really exciting. I think almost more so now more than ever, because of the lack of cricket we've had and the excitement building up.
What were you doing in those 3s and 4s then? What would you normally have been doing? And what could you do physically in those 3s and 4s to prepare?
It was a bit of a coach's nightmare, I think, because they were doing all the scheduling, and we just get a message on the WhatsApp group on a Sunday and say, like, lads, this is your time slot. So the coaches were there all day. They were there from 9 o'clock till 5, and the players were coming in at 9, leaving at 10, and another group was in, then another group. And I think it was important we didn't get to the ground with other people. We're in our little bubbles of players, and you had to arrive on time and leave as soon as your slot was finished. So it was challenging, but also more challenging for the coaches, I think, because A, they had to do the schedules, and B, they were there all day. So yeah, it was quite challenging.
And what happens now? I mean, you're a team now, so you have to be together. Are you allowed to be together the whole time? Are there sort of protocols around when the game ends, what you have to do, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I think the guidelines was we we stick to the 2 meter guidelines as much as we can. The good thing is now we're getting tested, so we're getting tested twice a week with a lateral flow test. So that's quite good, and that's obviously a good indication of that we are all okay, and none of us have got the COVID. So that's a good sign, I guess.
What you've had, as you said, 4 years at Surrey. What have you learned from that you can sort of help yourself and Durham with, and who did you learn from?
I was very lucky at Surrey. We played with some absolute greats of the game, with Kumar Sangakkara, Hashim Amla last year. So I was very lucky to play with some top players, but also some big characters in the game as well. I know Gareth Batty, he was captain at Surrey for a while. Big, strong personality, and very passionate. Spoke really well in the dressing room, and then played under Rory Burns as well, who was a younger captain when he came in, but completely different to what Gaz Batty was. So just learning different things from different players, and I felt like I've matured a lot as a person and as a cricketer, just by being involved in big dressing rooms and winning that county championship in 2018, playing another Lord's final in 2017. So just learning how to win and not actually settling for second best, and playing Division 1 cricket and playing really tough cricket, which is something I've been brought up with when I first broke into the Durham side. It was a very strong side. I think it was full of superstars at one stage, hence the reason why they did get in the trouble financially. But yeah, like playing with some big players at Durham, with Harmison, Onions, Divino Tor, Benkenstein, Collingwood, some big players, some big personalities as well, and playing Division 1 cricket and always pushing for county championships, which is almost learning how to win and learning how to play tough cricket.
I can remember actually, in a way, your experience with Surrey will be valuable, because I remember myself, you can see behind me here the two teams I played with, and I know they're rather retro kit now behind me, the Middlesex jumper and the Durham day-night kit, which does look very 1992. But coming from Middlesex, which was a very successful county, won the championship 4 times, and then going to Durham to set it up in a way, and it was quite a contrast. I felt at times Durham, as a team, when we started, lacked a competitive edge. We were sort of just there to make up the numbers almost. Yeah. So I guess your experience of Surrey and now back to Durham might well be to bring in that sort of winning mentality again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the times has changed at Durham over the last couple of years, and they've played Division 2 cricket, and they haven't played or haven't won as many games as we did a couple of years ago. So I think it's me coming in, and especially being as captain, is the first thing is maybe it's changing that mentality shift, is actually learning how to play tough cricket again and pushing to playing Division 1 cricket, because me as a player, that's all I've ever known. Like I say, I was lucky enough to break into a strong Durham side, and then going to Surrey and continuing to play Division 1 cricket and challenging for honours. So I think firstly that's probably the shift, is actually having that belief within the squad that we are good enough and we can compete with the likes of Notts and Essex and Walsh and the big boys and to be playing Division 1 cricket.
What about one more question about you? What about your bowling? Because you obviously played your test partly as a leg spinner, and I guess you were hoping to bowl more at the Oval than you ultimately did. What does that say about spin and the opportunities, especially for wrist spin in the county championship, do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of the spin is dictated by the weather, and which then is dictated by the pitches. I went to Surrey with purely cricket motivation. I'm a top order batter who bowls leg spin, and I was getting 1,000 runs as a number 3 and 20 wickets as a leggy. So I thought if I could do that at the Riverside, then I can get better numbers, get bigger numbers, and potentially get 30 wickets a season, which then improves my stock as a cricketer. And then just didn't quite get the numbers I wanted. Whether that was my fault, maybe it's not bowling as well in nets, or not bowling well as I would like in games, or maybe just trying too hard to impress. When I got there, we had Gareth Batty as his captain, who was obviously a spinner as well, and we had Zafar Ansari as well. So there's three of us who were playing, and sometimes Bats would potentially underball himself, which then underballed us two as well. So yeah, I mean, my bowling's definitely taken a dip, but still at the same time, I still believe that I've got the skill set to be a spinner, and to the wickets are in there. I think I've got over 200 first class wickets, so it's definitely there. It's just about learning how to bowl those longer spells again and actually being that number one spinner.
I suppose in a way, what I meant in a way was, is there a role for a wrist spinner given the way that the scheduling is done now?
Yeah, I think the way spin has been used over the last couple of years is generally there's two roles, and there's the first innings role and the second innings role. The first innings is generally, right, can you give me 10 overs for 20? Can you give me 15 overs for 35? Things like that, rather than my skill set as a bowler is generally I want to be attacking, I want to be a wicket taker. So it's almost gone against that and almost being used as a fourth innings bowler or not at all, which I think that's the mentality is of spin bowling at the moment, especially in county cricket. You very rarely see an attacking spinner. It's generally the left arm spinner or an off spinner to go, right, give us 10 overs for give the seamers a rest, and I think that's the mentality of, I think we've used spinners, which is partly maybe is why I've been underbowled. But I think that's just the nature of county cricket, and I think a lot of that is dictated with the weather, which then dictates how the pitch plays.
So I mean, will you try and change that? Do you think? I mean, are you intending to bowl yourself a fair bit?
I hopefully, yeah, I hope so. But again, that's dictated on the pitches. I've just looked at the pitch there at Trent Bridge. There's a bit of live grass on it, and it's April the 8th. So
it's probably verdant green, is it? It's probably 10 centimeters long grass.
Yeah, I just asked the groundsman if he's going to take a bit of grass off in the morning, and he said maybe, but he said he fancies a day off on Sunday. So I mean, it's not very promising. But like I said, I would love to bowl more, and as me as a captain, I would definitely want to get myself on as much as possible. But at the same time, I have to think about what's best for the team on that day, and if it's spinning, then I'll be first to get myself on for sure.
What's your philosophy as a captain? What sort of Durham approach are we going to see under Scott Bothwick?
Well, firstly, it's my first time I've ever captained like this standard. I've done a couple of great games in Australia and things like that. But I feel like I want to try and keep playing the same way. But my nickname's the Badger. I'm full of energy, always generally have a smile on my face, and so that's how I want to try and come across, but also be very competitive, and try and play some tough cricket, but with a smile on my face, and try and be calm as much as I can, even though I will be stressing like mad in my head, but try and give that calm influence and try and get that over to the squad we have.
Yeah, I mean, you've been playing first class cricket for a long time now. You're a very experienced cricketer. I mean, do you feel that sort of a real sense of nerves actually on the eve of the season, because you have got this big role now? Yeah,
I'm a little bit nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous about tossing the coin tomorrow and things like that. But no, like I think it's a lot of it's more excitement. I'm extremely excited to be back at Durham. It's when the decision came about, it was an absolute no-brainer for me. I'm so excited to get back, and I think sitting here right now with on the eve of the season, I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't wait to get started.
There's been we talked about some of the other change, the league change this year. There's another quite a big change, or it seems it might be a big change. 8 points for a draw. And Joe Root was talking at the end of the India series. We need to have batsmen who can play big innings. We need to have bowlers that can work hard to take wickets. And the draw is a valuable thing. Players need to be able to play for a draw. Is that how you see it? I saw Paul Downton saying down at Kent saying it might make cricket a bit more negative, the county championship a bit more negative. How do you see the change from 5 to 8 points for a draw?
I think it's a good thing. I think 4 days is a long time to play, and I think it is a batter as a mindset. You almost want to be batting 6 sessions. You want to try and bat 2 days, and I think that's definitely got to be the method. Making it 8 points for a draw, I don't think that's a negative thing at all. I think it teaches you to try and be a bit more competitive in games and try and take it as deep as possible. Remember what Gareth Batty used to say at Surrey, we almost want to be hitting the winning runs or taking the last wicket at 5 to 6 on day 4. And that's almost playing tough cricket and taking it right to the end and knowing that 4 days is a long time. That's with bat and ball. If you're bowling, you want to be building pressure. You want to be trying to go 2-0 and being smart and taking the game to the wire. And that's no different with the bat. We want to be learning how to bat 200 balls for a long period of time and getting big numbers.
What about the future of the championship, Scott? I saw the Telegraph did a survey and actually surveyed all the chief executives of the counties, and they were anonymous their responses. But see, like 9 came back saying that in 10 years' time they were concerned that there wouldn't be 18 first-class counties playing first-class cricket, playing championship cricket. How do you see the state of the game going into the 2021 season, especially with the 100 starting this year as well?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's not the case, because for me, being like a massive cricket fan as well as a player, I love playing the longer format. I love watching Test cricket, love playing the 4-day versions, and if I had a choice, I'd rather play the red ball cricket than the white ball cricket. That's me being a purist and being an absolute cricket fan. So I hope that's not the case, and I think a lot of cricketers think the same as me. There's nothing better than winning a 4-day game. You've grafted and you've worked hard for 4 days, and you're shaking hands as a winner. I think that for me is brilliant. That's why 4-day cricket is the best, and I think it always will be. I've heard a couple of some of the international players who still prefer Test cricket, and so I hope that's not the case. Yes, T20 is exciting and it's fun, and the skill level in T20 now, or the shorter version, is unbelievable. The guys who can hit the ball at the park on ball 1 is just an absolute unbelievable skill set. But I think there's nothing better than the 4-day cricket and the bell goes at 5 to 11 and the excitement of that.
Well, how do you see it, Yoz, the future of first-class cricket? I mean, as a former first-class player yourself.
I think that ultimately there will be less counties playing first-class cricket. I don't think there'll be less counties playing the white ball version. I reckon maybe 14 counties. And by the way, I'm sure Durham will be one of them. Maybe some counties might ultimately merge, just from a financial point of view. I mean, it's a lot of resource to keep a first-class team going throughout the season. But I certainly think that ultimately county championship cricket needs to be played throughout the season. I mean, Scott was saying in this conversation, it's nice to have blocks of matches being played, and I feel sorry for county players now, the red ball ones, that they play a little bit and then they stop for like 2 months and then play a little bit at the end. So that's a real shame. So hopefully they can have more county championship throughout the year. That would make a lot more sense. Just finally, Scott, what about Woody? When are you going to see him, do you think? I think he's having a bit of a rest, but when's he likely to be back for you?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get him available, potentially game 3. We'll have to speak to the ECB and speak to Woody, but I know Woody, he'll definitely be keen. He loves playing for Durham, and he loves bowling, but I think it will be the ECB thing with what they allow. But last time we spoke to Woody, he was definitely keen to play, but I think it's more likely to be potentially game 3, which is the home game at Derby, I think. So that'd be nice. I doubt we'll get Stokesy at all this season, looking at the schedule. But another one who loves playing for Durham. If he ever gets a chance, I'm sure he'll be itching to play.
Yeah, well, he'll be stuck at the IPL until at least the end of May, and then it's straight into the international season, isn't it? So
yeah,
you're
exactly.
right. I
mean, it'd be nice to get Woody. He'll bring that international experience, and great bloke in the dressing room as well, as you know.
And sweaters wise, how many have you got ready for tomorrow then?
I've got 2 jumpers on me, but the new jumpers this year are not that thick. The last 4 years at Surrey, we had the old school knitted jumpers, which are brilliant. You get a couple of those on, you're generally all right. But the new Durham jumpers are not that thick, which is slightly worrying. So I might have to go two t-shirts, 2 jumpers, and potentially 2 pairs of trousers.
It's the hands, though, isn't it? It's the hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have 4 hand warmers, 2 in each pocket, and I'll be standing at second slip, and every time the ball is not coming to me, there'll be hands in the pocket.
God. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you very much for your time today. A very smart location you're in as well, in the Trent Bridge Museum, with some good replica bats behind you there. You're actually changing in the bar or something, are you? Is that right?
Yeah, we're in the long room. Obviously, the changing rooms are not in use, so we're in the bar, which is actually quite nice. It's a massive bar, and because I was first in today, I actually got the spot next to the radiator, which is quite exciting. I'm pleased about that.
Captain's privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
Very sensible.
Well, very best of luck anyway. And by the way, for those of you who are listening here, the Cricketer magazine, which I'm just displaying here, the 100th year issue, a celebration issue, has a 2-page spread on every county. You can get to that by going to www.thecricketer.com/centenary for that centenary edition, which also, of course, has the wall chart, the multicoloured wall chart, to help you to navigate the season. Every county player will probably have one as well to work out where they are next. Scott, very best of luck. With my ex-Durham hat on, I hope you do well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Great stuff, Scott. Thanks very much indeed.